Hello, welcome to this sacred moment. You may think you stumbled here by accident, but in truth, eternity already knew this hour would come. Sometimes the greatest turning points in history are not announced with trumpets or visible earthquakes. Often they begin as small, hidden sparks that no one notices at first. Like the simple touch of one domino, barely brushed by a fingertip, setting off a chain reaction that reshapes the entire pattern. What looked stable suddenly collapses and rebuilds into something new. And whether you realize it or not, that is what has just happened in your life. There has been a divine flick, a heavenly nudge, and now everything around you is starting to shift. You may still be questioning, did that prayer really matter? Did choosing righteousness in that one moment truly change anything? Was walking away from temptation worth the pain it caused me? The answer, my dear one, is yes. Heaven saw it, and heaven responded. That small act of faith was the tipping point that caused God Himself to rearrange the entire field around you. Remember Galatians 6:9. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for in due season we shall reap, if we do not give up. What felt insignificant to you was mighty in the courts of heaven. That decision you made in secret, that prayer you whispered at midnight when no one else was listening, those were not wasted moments. They were catalytic acts that shifted destiny. The rules that applied to you yesterday no longer apply today because God has just reset the board. And when God resets the board, every piece tied to your destiny must move accordingly. Most people imagine breakthroughs as loud explosions, fireworks lighting up the sky. But the truth is, heaven's greatest victories often arrive wrapped in ordinary moments. Think about Elijah. God was not in the wind, nor in the earthquake, nor in the fire, but in the gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. That is what happened with you. You said no to temptation when it would have been easier to say yes. You walked away from something not aligned with your calling, even though it left you lonely. You chose integrity when compromise promised comfort, and what you thought was just another step was actually the step, the one heaven had been waiting for, the step that rewrote your story. Right now, the conversations about you in unseen realms are already changing. It's not that people around you suddenly decided to treat you differently. It's that they can sense the atmosphere shifting. They cannot quite place you in the same category anymore because the spiritual tilt is undeniable. And deep inside, you feel it too. That strange mixture of heaviness and anticipation, the restlessness in your spirit that you cannot fully name, that is not your imagination. That is what it feels like when God recalibrates everything in your favor. Psalm 37:23 declares, "The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and He delights in His way." Your steps are no longer your own. They are being choreographed by the King of Kings. Your last act of obedience triggered a divine chain reaction. For some of you, this will manifest as closed doors. The spaces that once embraced you will suddenly feel foreign. Invitations will stop coming. People you leaned on will go silent. Your flesh may interpret it as rejection, but your spirit must understand. This is God pulling you out of rooms that cannot contain who you are becoming. For others, it will show up as sudden favor. A person who overlooked you before will now go out of their way to help. Opportunities you didn't even pursue will find their way to your doorstep. Your name will rise in conversations you never entered. Why? Because the board has changed. God has altered the equation. Isaiah 43:19 says, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I will make a way in the wilderness and rivers in the desert." The shift is real, and it is already unfolding. Do not be surprised if some people stumble in your presence. Structures that once suppressed you will crumble. Those who mocked your faith will suddenly have no words. The very ones who doubted you will begin to seek your wisdom, not because you tried to prove them wrong, but because heaven has tilted the ground itself. And this change is not temporary. It is not a fleeting season. This is a permanent rewrite. God is not placing you back on the old board. He is building an entirely new one beneath your feet. That is why you cannot play small anymore. You cannot keep apologizing for the weight of glory you carry. You cannot explain away the favor resting on your life. Every time you diminish yourself to make others comfortable, you dishonor the shift God made on your behalf. You are not in the same game anymore. The outcome that once seemed impossible is now inevitable. The pieces that once boxed you in are now working for your good, exactly as Romans 8:28 promises. And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose. Those who thought they had predicted your ending are about to be stunned, for they never foresaw this chapter, because when God changes the rules, no one can play against you the same way again. That small prayer you thought was forgotten was actually the key that unlocked this divine reset. That choice for holiness was the spark. Now everything around you is catching up to what God already declared in the unseen. And God didn't just hand you a blessing, He altered the entire game because of you. What does this look like in reality? It looks like restlessness in places that no longer fit. It looks like friendships fading that once felt central. It looks like old environments suddenly becoming too tight, like shoes that pinch your feet. These aren't signs of loss. They are confirmations that you are outgrowing the old skin. Just as a snake sheds what no longer fits, you too are being released from what cannot contain your growth. Holding on would suffocate the new life God is birthing in you. You may ask, why now? Why so suddenly? Because when God resets the board, the pieces must move differently. And remember, these blessings are not random. They are the visible echoes of the hidden obedience you walked in when nobody was watching. Jesus said in Matthew 6:6, "But when you pray, go into your room, close the door, and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you." The shifts happening now are heaven's rewards for the secret sacrifices of yesterday. Some people will look at you differently, and though they may not say anything, you will feel it in their eyes. They cannot explain it, but they recognize authority resting on you. Do not apologize for the weight you carry. If you try to shrink back to who you were before, you will suffocate the very gift God just released. Yet, with favor will come resistance. Yes, even in the middle of blessing, the enemy will attempt to push back. Old temptations will reappear, familiar doubts will whisper again, people will try harder to pull you into cycles you already broke free from. Do not panic. Resistance is not a sign you are failing. It is the proof that the game has shifted. The enemy never wastes energy fighting what poses no threat. The pressure has increased precisely because your life has tilted into victory. Like a chessboard where everyone thought you were cornered, the crowd was certain you would lose. But then, one unexpected move flipped the entire game. Before the final piece even falls, everyone watching knows the outcome has already shifted. That's where you stand today. The rules have changed, the outcome is secure, and the atmosphere testifies that victory is yours. And this shift is not limited to you alone. It ripples outward. Your obedience has broken generational cycles in your family. Your yes to God has opened unseen doors for others connected to you. Your faith has altered atmospheres in ways you cannot yet measure. This is why the battle felt so suffocating, why the pressure was relentless, why you nearly convinced yourself to quit. The enemy understood what was at stake, that if you made this move, it would not only lift you, but everything tied to you. But you did not quit. You did not fold. You did not hand your future back to fear. And now you stand in the middle of a divine rewrite. Expect sudden provision. Expect opportunities that stretch beyond explanation. Expect relationships to rearrange, with some fading away, while others arrive like they were always meant to be there. And when it happens, know this truth. It is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is not human kindness. It is the result of heaven resetting the board. God himself has declared, "Behold, I set before you an open door, which no one is able to shut." Revelation 3:8.